How do we know we are live?
Hello. We are live right now, right? We are live right now, and
Yay.
I'm so glad that Samantha is here, and we are going to talk about brand your presentation style. Okay, so let me just put myself on the big screen first so that you can see what we are talking about, right? So it's brand your presentation style. So me and Samantha is going to talk about our styles. How are you going to, the different ways that we're going to build our slides and the different way that we present. Maybe we talk about colors, the way we dress and things like that, right? And that is our individual style. So I guess everybody has a different style, right? And so when you are presenting, I think we should all stick to our own style. We shouldn't be kind of duplicate other people. Although I guess we can say we all have somebody, maybe a mentor, right? A mentor or somebody that we look up to, that we like the way they present, the way they build their slides, the way they talk and things like that. But individually, each of us have our own way to talk, has our own way to present. And that's why, we should always stick to our own style. We can change a little bit, but if we tend to mimic other people, then we lose our own identity, right? So
Yeah.
as for me, I always like to present with my slide on my background rather than separately from me. And so I always believe that when you present, your face should be upfront, right? And then followed by whatever that you want to show. What about you, Samantha? Maybe you want
Okay,
to
I
tell
don't
me a
I
little bit about
don't
your style.
oh, you want me to share? I think a lot of people know me already, right? No lah, basically. No, I'm always like together, like having talk shows with you. And then a lot of people, okay lah, let me just briefly introduce who I am long. Huh? Maybe you have a lot of new fans and followers. So those people who are new fans and followers of Tiantic, Samantha here. So I basically is a friend of Tiantic, and then we've known each other a lot of times. I learned from Tiantic a lot about presentation. So um, he always give me like insightful tips, right, about like presentations and everything. So I'm very honored today, lah, basically for Tiantic inviting me into this. I am a CEO of a few companies, so a lot of my presentation tips, right, actually come from Tiantic personally. So I really do want to say thank you so much for Tiantic's help, especially in my company profile, actually. Yeah. So just now back to the question of like you asking what's my presentation style, right? I'm also a very impromptu person. So not sure whether this is a good thing or not, lah, but sometimes people do prepare, and I felt that with okay, so those people that are very impromptu, right? You need to do some preparation. Lah. And then those people that are super preppy, right? You need to be more relaxed. Lor. That's what I feel lah whenever it comes to presentation. So because like those people like me, right, like very impromptu, I don't even prepare scripts. I don't even know what to say, right? Sometimes we'll probably end up some trouble.
But
Like
I
either
guess, I guess, right, Samantha. I guess that is your style, right? So your style is like, um, you're able to, you like to just be very impromptu, very candid about what you present, what you say, right? And
mm,
anything that come out to your mind, you would say. So I guess that also a quality of a CEO, right? Because the CEO must be always on the ball, right? You must be always standing on your feet, right? And you might get questions here and there all the time, and you might be asked to present, for example, you attend a function, right? And somebody might point you out and say, hey, can you say something about a new product that you are launching in your company, right? And from there, you are like caught from nowhere kind of thing. It's like, oh my God, I now have to think very quickly and I have to come up with something to say. Of
yeah.
course, a lot of time we all know that, or the one thing that we always say is that, oh, I cannot mention anything about unreleased products.
It's confidential. Yeah, but I think I'm not sure about what changes after the pandemic. What do you think? Like for me, I think after the pandemic, there are more people that are willing to step in front of the camera, and it's pretty easy for you to prep on virtual. Like you can have like scripts right in front of you when you talk. Okay, you guys wouldn't know that I'm actually reading out scripts, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Okay, but definitely that's also true. It might be easier in virtual. So when you're presenting virtually, it might be easier to cheat, right? To cheat kind of thing. You
Mm,
you can actually prepare a script, put it in front of you, and just read from the script. But
correct.
then, if you are not a seasoned presenter in front of a camera, people will know that you are reading from the script as well, right? Because
Yeah,
it's the way your eyes move away from the camera, your eyes that glance here and there. People will know, right? So you definitely also need to practice, if you want to cheat, to read a script in front of the camera.
I agree. I actually think that those people who actually prepare for a script, right? Even if I prepare for a script, I tend to lose the essence. I'm not sure whether about you, but I tend to like lose out like my authenticity because I was so indulged in like going through the scripts. So that's where I felt that it's it's good to have pointers, but maybe
Mm-hmm.
not like the full script, like also you include in your scripts and all those lah. So I always feel that having authenticity, people can actually get connected to you. So it's like every time I see Tentic, it's like I really feel like it's your true self. It's like I'm not, yeah, I feel that that's a real you that I feel connected. So I think the audience would felt it too, right? I'm pretty sure that the audience would felt it too.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that is one of the things that every presenter should have. If you want to kind of create a career, in presenting or in training, in teaching, or if you're climbing up the corporate ladder, definitely the way you present is also very important, right?
Mm,
Not only just presenting in front of a crowd, but then as of today, because of the pandemic, we all also must learn how to present virtually, right?
yeah,
And presenting virtually, it's not just the way you present, it's also the other things that you need to take care of, right? Because today we use Zoom, right? And then we could have to make sure that our network is connected properly, right? That there's enough bandwidth and things like that. So there are few things that to me, these are the few things that happen, and I want to make sure that, before I start anything, I prep all these things and make sure that all are working well. But of course, there are also many presenters who are very familiar with Zoom, right? And they really don't really have to prepare anything. All they need to do is to make sure that they have Wi-Fi connection and they turn on the Zoom meeting and they could just go and present, right?
yeah,
But for beginners, I think for the beginners, um, if you're not very familiar, I think it is good to practice a little bit, so that when you present, you are able to present more smoothly. Coming back to using a script is good and bad. It's good and bad. Like you say earlier on, you might not be very authentic, to yourself as you read the script. You're too engrossed in reading the script. But I guess there's also a technique. There is also a technique when you are reading script, right? You cannot read word for word. You can
yeah,
read a sentence, and then after that, depending on the mood, depending on the situation, you want to expand on it. You want to add in things, right? And
yeah.
then after that, if you think that, oh, I forgot what I need to say, I go back to the script and then, oh, what's the next thing that I need to say, right? And that's one of the way to deal with scripts. Yeah.
I personally think that not only that, like if you look at the background right now, right? If you're talking about presentation styles right now, brand your presentation style, right? You see, it's like I don't really have like that flair of like being online. It's like I'm at home. And it's because I cannot get my snap camera on. I do not know why. Can't even put my background on. So if let's say you were forced in this kind of situation like me, right? I probably would advise maybe at least prep it up a little bit. Like actually I did prep lah. It's just that it didn't went on the screen. I don't know why. So I got like
But
little trees.
I think it's good. Generally,
This
if you
was
are
supposed
not
to be
using a
here.
virtual background, you want to have things that are clean at the back, right?
Yeah.
Clean and maybe throw some lights and things, then it
Okay,
might
let me
looks good,
try.
right?
I
Maybe
actually have a
throw
light.
some light so that you have some colors at the back.
Okay, let me try this. Oh wait. Doesn't work.
Oh yeah, it's good. So the thing is that you get a little light, but the light is too far away, right? So if you can get the
Yeah.
light to shine down a little bit, to fill up the wall, the
Let me
wall,
see.
then it would be nice, right?
If I were
It
to
would be
shift
nice.
this up a bit, probably that would be better.
No. Then you are off. Your face will be off. Like that is good. Okay, like that is good. This is good. This is good. Right.
Yeah.
And
So okay,
so
something that I could
the clean
do.
background is good, right? And if you move it to your right a bit, right? Move it to your right, right? And then you can see some of the ornaments at the back, some
Yeah.
decoration at the back, then it looks nice, right? Yeah. But you're too much to the right, right already. Move back to the center.
So initially I planned to like put a plant here, you see.
Oh yeah,
So like
yeah. I think you put a huge plants on that blank area. That would be
yeah,
very good,
here.
very nice. Yeah.
And I checked out the price. It was like very expensive for one fake plant. And I gave up the idea. So I intended to buy like real plants to
But
put
you
it.
see the thing about real plant is that you need to change all the time. You need to
Yeah.
water it. You need to swap it with the sunlight. Correct.
Yeah, in
Right.
a way, yes, true. So I was like thinking to prep something here. And I actually do have something. Wait, give me a minute. I'll go off screen for a while. I'm gonna like go and find this thing.
Okay. So great. So while waiting for Samantha, right? So I just want to talk a little bit about presenting virtually, right? So when you're presenting virtually, definitely you can prepare a script. Well, like I said earlier on, preparing a script is good because if you are a beginner, then it will really get rid of all the all the because all the and the is like you do not know what you are going to say next. That's why you keep on filling up with sound, from your voice kind of thing. And so you also have like repeated words. Now, I'm not perfect. I also have a lot of repeated words that I use repeatedly very often. And I also need to practice to make sure that every time I pause, it is a pause rather than filler words kind of the things that you keep on thinking and you wanted to put it, you don't know what to say, right? So sometimes you're lost of words, you're lost from the words, and that's why you put in the fillers. And so as you write the script, then it also keep you thinking about, are those the things that I want to say? It helps you internalize the content of your presentation, right? It helps you internalize the content of what you want to talk about when you are presenting, right? And so writing a script, not necessarily you have to read from the script, but writing a script will help you think through what you want to say. Okay, so let's have Samantha back here. So where do you go and what do you do?
Does it look better now? I actually
Oh
remember that
yeah,
this
definitely.
this
Yes,
this
yes,
ornament that I bought like don't know from where. And wow, it sort of like fit into it. So like oh, cool. Okay.
yes.
Well,
It's pretty
that
good.
was cool.
Yeah. So what you need to do right now is make yourself a bit a bit sit
Higher?
a bit higher. Yeah, correct. That's good. Sit a
I
bit
have to
higher
like
so that it's not, it's like maybe a three finger, four fingers. Yes, yeah, correct. Oh, that's good. Yeah. So you want a little gap at the top, and so people can see you clearly filling up the whole screen. So that's wonderful.
Yeah, I think that's nice too.
Yeah,
Instantly, the space actually changed, right?
correct. So you don't get this empty space here. So the
Yeah.
next time when you do virtual presentation, then you find that okay, maybe I want to stick to this brand, right? Stick to
Hmm.
your brand style this way. Every time we see Samantha, you have a wooden cabinet, wooden shelf on the left, and then a nice little thing on the right side. Kind.
Yeah, it's pretty me though. This is like my
Yeah,
because I
like kind
design,
of
I can tell.
zen kind of thing, right?
Yeah. So in the
Okay.
mood of like meditation.
Yeah. So for me, usually what I like to do is that because we all do virtual presentations most of the time nowadays,
Mm.
right? Because of the pandemic, and I usually would like to use a green screen. When using a green screen, that means I can put anything in my background, so I don't have to worry about decorating my room because my room is kind of small. I would say that my studio is kind of small, and there's not enough depth and space for me to move things around and decorate things at the back. And
Mm.
so what I like to do
Actually,
is to put up a green screen so I can then replace anything that I like behind me. Right? So for
yeah.
example, I can do this. I'm suddenly in a in a
I
cafe,
really like it. I really, really like it a lot.
right?
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Yeah. And the nice thing about when you present virtually, that is even though there are challenges because of equipment, because of connection, there's also things that you can do and be very fun in terms of creating the environment for the presentation. So you can make it fun. So for me, what I like, my style is to, like I say, I always like to use green screen and put things behind me. And if I have a slide, I would definitely would put my slide behind me as well, right?
Yeah, I think that's a
And
very
and
amazing
from
one.
there, I can also shift myself anywhere I like.
And make
Right. So
yourself
that's the
smaller.
beauty about the. Oh, and make myself smaller. Definitely make myself smaller as well.
Yeah. And I do witness some of them. It makes it more interactive, as though your audience is actually going to experience, for example, a weather forecast. Remember those people who go on a weather forecast?
Oh, yes.
It's like they can, like talk on the screen, and all those. Like it feels so much better than just presentation slides. What if those people who couldn't like get this kind of equipment, or like wouldn't want to get themselves into this? What else can they do more on their presentation slides, or even like, so now we roughly know how to prep it already, but I actually didn't know that actually turning on a light would actually change so much, you see. I
Yeah.
that light was something that I never thought of, because
Yeah.
I
So
always,
one of the
yeah.
ways that you can put a magenta filter on the light, and then the
I
light will shine
do.
out instead of yellow, right? Instead of yellow, it's like bluish red kind of thing. So it would be very interesting.
Do you want to put me down again while you talk? Then I go and find a magenta light. I actually do have a magenta light.
Do you have one?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
And today you can actually share a little bit about the style, because I noticed that recently you changed your style to like darker colors. Did you?
Okay. Actually, not really. I usually have a dark background. That means I use a black background at the back. At
Oh
times,
yes, yeah. I think you have
correct. It's
this.
always black. It's
It's
always
not really
black.
me. It's not me.
Yeah. It's always black. Then I realized that it becomes too dull. Everything is black. All my slides are black. White words and black. Although it's very sharp and bold, but I felt that it's a bit too dark. Right? And so what I have done recently is that I have, instead of use a plain black, I put on some texture on my slide. So you can see that now it's not really black, but it's actually a sky, but I overlay it with some colors, not bright colors, but very subtle colors. So if you see that if I change my slide, okay, so let me change my slide a little bit.
While you are at that, let me go and get my magenta light.
Okay, go ahead, go ahead.
You have to put me down because I need to like crawl out from this space.
Okay, okay. So while Samantha go to, let me while Samantha goes and find a magenta light to decorate her background. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a little bit about impact, right? So as you present, you want to ensure that there is impact in the things that you show on your presentation slide. Impact the way you talk about the things that you are presenting, and also the things that you want to show on your presentation slide, you also need to have impact. Because without impact, then you are not be able to engage the audience properly. So a few things that you can do: prepare some questions that you might want to ask your audience, during the presentation. And as you think through, try not to put too many things on the presentation slide. Having too many things on the presentation slides would make your audience want to read the information there. And as they read, they cannot hear you. And that's the danger about putting too much information on your presentation slide. So, and if you have your slide being used to add on information, you want to also be able to layer those information so that as you talk through your presentation slide, you can add on information, but try not to add until the slide is too complex and too complicated, right? And when the slides are too complex and too complicated, then it becomes something very difficult to comprehend. The other thing that we shouldn't do is also to throw in raw information. Raw information on the slide is also not good. So information that is not being processed. For example, you say, I want to show you the performance this quarter in my organization. And then you go to your sales database and you pull out all the sales figures, and then you throw everything on the slide, without being processed. And that is very difficult for the audience to understand. Where are you trying to get to? What are you trying to pinpoint, on the data and the information that you are presenting? And so it's important to divide the information to make parts of the information simpler. So in other words, simplify the information. So in general, all the information are very complex. For example, let me show you, right? Stage 1 information are complex information. These are raw data. Raw data, they are very difficult to understand. And many of us like to present raw data because it is easy. You just copy and paste the information on your presentation slide. And then, you will just show the slide without needing to think or break out information. Right. So stage 1 information shouldn't be used for presentation slide because it's very complex and complicated. Nobody can understand stage 1 information. So what we want to do is to take the stage 1 information and move it into stage 2. And so stage 2 information are simplified information. Right. When the information is simplified, then it's easier to understand. And when you show it on the slide, people immediately will be able to see the information. And if you talk through the information and you refer to certain of the figures or the data that you are showing on the slide, you see, I did not practice well enough, so it should be this way, right? Showing on the slide, right? And showing on the slide, and so people can understand better. They can see the things when you say that, let me show you the data here, right? And then they are able to see that, right? Okay, so I can see that Samantha is back. So let's bring her back onto the scene and let's see how she has been doing with her lights.
Ta-da!
All right.
I
That
actually
looks
found
good.
some magenta lights.
Isn't that
So nice.
wonderful? It looks a lot different, right? Right now.
I mean, the look and feel is very different, lah. Though I feel that the color of my clothes doesn't match with the
Yeah.
lightings.
Okay, so now one of the problem exists is that your back behind is brighter than your front. That's why your face is a bit dark,
Dark,
right? And so
right?
what you need
Actually,
to
I
do
thought
is
so.
you need to have a light in front of you. For example, a table lamp.
I don't have any more props already. I'm not Doraemon. I can't find
Yeah.
any more
So
things.
so so you need a table lamp. You put your table lamp in front of you so that you will be lighted up and you don't look so pale, right?
Yeah, I do look a bit more pale, right? I got an idea. We're a bunch of crazy people. Do I look better?
Uh,
Do I look better?
it's too far away. It's too far away.
This is so funny. But anyway, I
Oh,
really do
your
enjoy this session of like prepping up. You know, actually, this space has been here for quite some time, and I couldn't think of any way to actually prep it. Like the first thing that I thought about was, wow, that was a game changer. Like even this soft light was really doing a lot more different from what I know.
yeah.
And just now when you mentioned about magenta light, I suddenly realized I do have a magenta light. And I always wanted to feel that. And then, wow, well, in this like few minutes, right, you just push me to get so many things done at once. And I
Yeah,
really like
so
it.
so it's nice, right? So you're able to decorate your background. I think yeah, it's good. It's wonderful. Yes. Wow, you have the word love there is
Yeah. I'm not sure whether if let's
okay.
say I was like off all the lights, would it look nice? I definitely need a light in front of me then. Right.
If you do that, you definitely need a light in front. Wow, now it looks nice, right? Look at the background. Look at your
Yeah.
background, right? Yeah,
I
but
don't
you
know
definitely
why.
need a light in front of you. You definitely need a light in front of you,
Let me do that
and that would
next week.
make everything looks wonderful. Yeah.
Nice. I really like it. And I really like just now when I was, down from the screen, like busy rambling up all the magenta lights. I actually did see some of those slides about like making it very simple and then like the stage one to like complexity to simplify and all those. That was really important. And to this date, I still see a lot of people doing presentation that is like very, very messy with like all the words inside, including contact details, like everything like in one page. Like to the extent of like, what are you trying to tell me? Like, why are you trying to shout at me? Like all the information right in front of my face. So yeah. Okay, I'm gonna turn back
Yeah,
on.
so I think that is a common thing with a lot of presenters because when a lot of us do not know how to make use of the slide properly, because the slide they thought is a document, right? The slide shouldn't be a document. The slide should be something. A slide should be like a billboard, right? A billboard,
I
right?
think the reason why they don't do that is because there is fear. It's like they are fear of
Don't know what to say.
no, they are fear of like you don't get what I try to tell you. Like I have to put my contact information on every slide so that you don't miss a thing. You get what I mean? Like you
Yeah,
have to put like all the information on that particular slide because you won't miss it because you can read it. But the true essence about a presentation, which I realize, is actually not through the slides. Is actually through what you want to convey through the slides. So the slides is actually just a tool. Because at the end of the day, people don't buy your presentation. I think people buy you, right? They buy your idea through a tools of like putting things nicely on the presentation. At the end of the day, they buy Samantha's idea. They buy Tiantic's idea. They don't buy Tiantic's slides, right? So I always think that a lot of people who wanted to like shout a lot on the presentation slides, they were just very scared that you miss out one very big piece of information which I haven't tell you. And that's why they have like shoved everything on the screen, making sure that everybody knows what I'm trying to say. Yeah. That's my opinion about like some presentation that I've seen. Every time when I was out, people try to like give me a presentation. So that's what they try to like put in.
So I guess, as a CEO, right, you have to attend a lot of presentation as well, right? You have to attend a lot of presentation, and it will be up to a point where there are so many presentation that you have to attend, and you would say that at times you're so tired about presentation, you do not actually want to attend those presentation where you actually sit down there and people are showing you slides after slides after slide after slides, and you cannot see what's on the slide, right?
I think the slides, okay, top CEO slides, top slides that CEO hate the most is I already sort of expected what you want to say. I find that it's like, if you don't grab my attention. So when you try to like, even like some of our partners or even suppliers who actually came, I knew that their presentation is just going to be normal. So I sort of like, can we get this over like as soon as possible? Like just tell me your price, that kind of thing. Like I wouldn't want to like dwell a lot more about what's in there. The reason why is because I sort of like expected it. That's number one. Number two is you're trying to shove me a lot of information that I don't need. Like information overload. Like, yeah, I think that's one. And it's very rare to see in presentation slides that are very, it's very hard in the corporate world, I can say. So those people who are in the corporate world, right, you guys need to learn from Tian Teck. Like, how are you going to make it simple yet very powerful? It's very, very tricky. And the trick, right, is not to add on more, but to pull out more and pull out and make it less. And I very seldom see that kind of presentation. Seriously, like especially in the corporate, where people want to tell you about their company profiles. It will start with since 1981, 1982. That was like, oh my gosh, like we are like 2021 right now. How many years more that I have to like go through this before I get to 2021? So it's like, okay, yeah. And then, so it's very important, like, oh yeah, another third thing is like, what's in for me? Why do I have to like spend the time, sitting here listening to you? And then like, then, that
So
kind of
it,
thing.
it is a common mistake, especially for suppliers, right? Suppliers who want to clinch a deal and go to talk to you as a CEO. And definitely they would say, okay, I have to tell you about my company first, right? I have to tell you about the range of my products. And so I hope that you will be impressed because I have so many products that we can do in my company, right? And so not realizing that, by inviting them to a presentation, right, to present to you, you already have somehow studied the background of the company. You already knew what the company can do, before they are
Exactly.
invited, right? Before they are invited. So I think for all the suppliers out there, for those salespeople who want to get business talking to CEOs and other companies, I think what you should do is that you should kind of identify the needs of the company first, right? Identify the needs, right? And then only maybe share certain things that you think you can help the organization in your presentation, right? Do not go through the whole long list. Do not go through the history of your company because nobody wants to know about the history of your company.
I don't
Right?
want to know.
You can mention that we are, one of the top companies in this industry, because we have 1 and 2 awards. you can mention that, but
Yeah, I
shouldn't
think
go into too many details.
it's
Kind of thing.
really simple. If let's say you are very good, you probably have some very good showcase. Like
Mm-hmm.
just one showcase, I roughly know where you are in your industry. So the moment that I sit down, right, I actually wanted a solution directly from you. So I wouldn't, I don't know, I may be wrong, because but this is really that the inner voice of a CEO or a manager, like meeting suppliers where they start off with like the entire lengthy conversation about who they are, and especially some of those very old companies, they merge with this company, then they delist
Oh,
from
that
the
is
board, and then they go listing again, and then what is that thing happening here and there, how they become stronger. But all we want to know is like, okay, in fact, when they do that, right, a lot of times I was thinking, shucks, I may be ending up with somebody with a very, very high price point. The reason
mm,
why is because they are talking about so huge, their experience. So that instantly gave me this impression that what you want to try to say is that probably your product is not cheap. Lah.
that's why they have to make a long presentation, right? If the presentation is too short, then you might think that, oh, well, there's no substance in their presentation. There's no substance in the solution that they're trying to provide you, right? And that's why a lot of us are kind of afraid to simplify things,
Yeah.
and
And
go straight forward to the solution or what they can provide you, kind of thing.
and surprisingly, most of them don't bring a solution because they are using a standard presentation.
Mm,
So they will like
okay.
finish presenting already, then they'll say, okay, so Miss Samantha, back to the question that you asked us to come here. And there was like 30 minutes of presentation of their company profile. And then only we start to go into like the real deal, right? The real things that is actually happening. So I think if let's say you weave in the thing, then probably a lot more things would change. Or put the important things in there. I'm not sure, because some people are really, really scared about like removing slides about their company.
Mm, mm.
I'm not
Because
sure.
maybe
Maybe.
they are asked to, they're given a standard template, right? They are given a standard set of slide and say, this is your corporate profile slide. When you go and see a new customer, make sure you go through
Share
this set of
everything.
slides, right? Yeah.
Yeah, the sales guy,
But
very, very poor thing.
yeah, correct. So that's the big problem, because taking a lot of precious time, taking a lot of precious time by presenting or talking about information that is in stage one, right? Information that is in stage one, that let me just say, right? Information that is stage one, which is very complex. And that is
Mm.
where we don't want to go at. All the presenters must not use information in stage one, right? They
Yeah.
find ways to break it into stage two, simplify, use charts, use diagram, use pictures. So if you are talking about a company product, show the product rather than do not show the specs, right? A lot of us try to show the specs and throw in a spec sheet on your presentation slide, right? And that is complex information. That is stage one, right? And
Mm.
if you can make it interesting, make a 3D product, show it real life, you make it
Mm.
into stage three, which is more exciting and interesting. And that is what we should be doing all the time, every time we do our presentation.
Yeah. I think, let me think about my own presentation, because my presentation was actually personally crafted or curated by Tiantic in a way. I have to get Tiantic to help me with this portion, because I truly believe that it's really worth it to get someone very professional to look at it. The reason why is because, yeah, I did all the standard mistake that we mentioned about. At the end of the day, I realized that my customer actually wanted a few things: whether you could deliver, whether can I trust you, whether your price is reasonable. So those were the few things that I felt, oh, these are the important things. So we sort of like don't really always do a full-fledged company presentation profile because a lot of our customer doesn't really want to know. Because why? When they Google, they probably knew most of them already. Like what you said, you did like just amazing comment about that. Like if I can call you here, right? You think I just simply pick like three people out from Google and then I ask you to come? It's not that way, especially when it's a very established company. They actually probably did a search about you. They know who is the company directors, before engaging you. See, so I think they have already done extensively enough. So I would think that the CEO knew you already. So what he wanted to see is like whether you have what they are thinking that you could offer. Yeah, and that's it. And basically in the presentation, it's really just having the true essence and the main solution. What do you think about like customizing every single time?
Well, customizing every single time is good, but is going to take a lot of time, right? As the presenter, you're going to put a lot of pressure on the person who is presenting, or on the salesperson, or on the business development person who is going to
True.
talk to every individual client, right?
Right.
Definitely, you can have one set of success slide, one set of the slide that it contains the information that you would always want to share with your client, right? But before every presentation, you should decide, go through it and see, should I add in 2 more slides about certain things that I did not do with my last client because this client needed, right? Or should I remove certain things that you thought that, okay, maybe this is too much, this client might not need this solution, might not need this solution. And so
Or
there's
he
no,
maybe only give you like 15 minutes.
yeah. And so there's no point, going through these few slides because irrelevant. Right?
Yeah.
And that is what I always do too. I never always use the same presentation, with a new client. I always go through and I always pick up some and put in some.
Nice.
Just to make sure that it is relevant for the meeting.
Yeah, I think
Even
that's
though
everyone.
even though when I do my training, when I do my training with my clients, right? So I do corporate training. Every training, I also change the slide a little bit. Yeah.
But the standard
Because
doesn't
sometimes,
really deviate much, right?
no, the standard doesn't, because your style is already there, right?
Yeah.
So it's important to establish your brand style, presentation style. So you want to brand your own presentation style so that every time you present, people know that, your style of presentation is like that. You always like to use this color scheme and things like. Of course, sometimes you want to deviate a little bit. You want to be more interesting, so that you are not too consistent all the time, right? So I always say variation is good. Variation is good.
Yeah. I always feel that for me, I actually don't really have a particular style. My presentations, especially the slides, like background, yeah, you probably can see me, I'm definitely going to be on makeup. I'm definitely going to be dressed up. That's my style, basically. So, um, but for my presentation slides, most of the time I would be changing according to the topic. Like, if let's say today I would talk about anything about lifestyle, I would change my slides. If I talk about like corporate stuff, then it will have that corporate thing that I will put in. So
Yeah.
that's my style, in a way. Because I do
So
a
I
wide range of of topics. Yeah.
Yes, correct. So we all always present wide variety of things, right? We always variety of things, and also to different clients in different industry. And definitely sometimes the presentation is formal, sometimes it's a bit more casual. So in a formal presentation, don't use a cartoon picture. So you're going to see a client, don't use a cartoon on a slide, because that will make you become not very serious about the discussion with the client, right? And of course, if it's a presentation that is informal, right? Maybe you are talking about year-end party and things like that. You're trying to promote some year-end party. Okay, definitely you can use some balloons, some ornaments, some cartoon, fun stuff on your presentation slides. But definitely, if you go and meet a client, your corporate profile presentation, you should be serious about it.
I actually really like this tone here. So I'm going to take a picture and say this is staged by Tian Tek. I really like it, especially the magenta color. Like, it's one of my favorite color.
Okay, so I guess we are reaching like 45 minutes, right? So we need to turn it off. Turn it off.
That's for the weekend.
Yeah, for the weekend. So today is Friday night. So thanks for those who are attending, who are watching this on Facebook Live. And so before we go, I would like to leave everyone a note that try to think about your presentation style. Try to brand it. Keep it consistent. Make sure you always check against yourself to see that does the style work well on you, and as you are presenting it, does it actually project a good image of yourself and of the way and of your brand, of your company, right? Do you have anything to leave behind, Samantha?
Well, I think the most important thing about presentation is still be yourself. I always think that being yourself actually bring out the best you, and people can actually see the authenticity.
Somehow all these words are so difficult to pronounce, right? So is
Authentic
English a
you.
bad? Sometimes I always blame on English, right? English is the bad thing.
Authentic on
The authentic
authentic.
you, okay. The authentic you, right? That would
Yeah,
be
the
good.
authentic you lah. Basically, because people want that level of connection, but because we are right now in front of Zoom, sometimes stage it up a little bit, like what you say, like you brand it up a little bit, and I think it's very important. I think this is one of the biggest takeaway where staging it like this thing, it's something so much more powerful than just the
Leave it blank,
surrounding.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
the surrounding can actually give a different message, right? I think it's
Yeah.
also very powerful. Yeah.
And I guess the next thing for everyone to do is that if you are doing your next virtual presentation, check your background before you start Zoom, right? And make sure that it is professional. Or rather, depending on who you are presenting to, make sure that is professional and nice. Okay. So thanks everyone. Thanks Samantha for being in this session. Right. Good
Thank
night
you so
and have
much.
a good weekend. Bye bye everyone.
Bye.